Why is indigenous spiritual knowledge eroding in culture? Imagine losing a story that has been told for hundreds of years, a story that connects people to their land and ancestors. That's what's happening to many indigenous spiritual traditions today. Indigenous spiritual knowledge is fading away because of many interconnected reasons. One major cause is environmental destruction. When forests are cut down or ecosystems are polluted, sacred sites and medicinal plants disappear. These plants and places are vital for spiritual practices and healing, so their loss means losing parts of the knowledge that depends on them. Another reason is displacement. Indigenous communities are often forced off their lands through land grabs or development projects. When they lose access to their sacred places, they lose the physical and spiritual links to their traditions. Without access to these sites, passing down rituals and stories becomes much harder. This disconnection weakens the cultural fabric that holds their beliefs together. Cultural marginalization also plays a big role. Colonial histories and ongoing political struggles have suppressed indigenous spiritual practices. Authorities labeled these beliefs as primitive or pagan, which led to banning ceremonies and destroying sacred objects. This suppression caused many languages and oral traditions to disappear, taking with them the spiritual knowledge they carried. When a culture's language and rituals are pushed aside, so is the understanding of their spiritual worldview. Globalization and modernization are also part of the problem. Young people are increasingly drawn to cities and global media, which often promote Western lifestyles and beliefs. This shift can lead to a decline in the use of indigenous languages and participation in traditional ceremonies. As younger generations adopt new ways, the transmission of spiritual knowledge slows down or stops altogether. The way indigenous knowledge is shared is also changing. Traditionally, elders and community leaders pass down spiritual practices through storytelling, ceremonies, and apprenticeships. When these elders age or pass away, and when social changes disrupt these traditions, the knowledge can be lost. Without these living teachers, the spiritual systems risk fading away. Mainstream institutions often overlook or misunderstand indigenous spirituality. Academic and government programs tend to separate spiritual beliefs from cultural practices, ignoring how deeply intertwined they are. This exclusion makes it harder for indigenous communities to get support or recognition for their spiritual heritage. It also limits the inclusion of indigenous perspectives in environmental and cultural policies. To help preserve this knowledge, it is important to respect indigenous land rights and sacred sites. Supporting community-led education and cultural programs can keep traditions alive. Recognizing indigenous spirituality as a vital part of their identity and environment is key. When we understand how these beliefs are connected to the land and ecosystems, we see their importance beyond just cultural practices. Protecting indigenous spiritual knowledge is about more than saving traditions. It's about maintaining the relationships between people, their ancestors, and the natural world that sustain their way of life.